Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
Call me a radical.
Those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course.
We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The Constitution, I feel like it's outdated.
I think that our Constitution that we have for America is to some degree outdated.
A government can't control the economy without controlling people. And they know when a government sets out to do that, it must use force and coercion to achieve its purpose.
Every white person is racist.
Get the off in here, man! Stand your racist.
The trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so.
We should also ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines in this country.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers.
What a great question, President Reagan. I think it is time to ask that question. If we still know our freedoms that were granted to us by our Founding Fathers, I couldn't agree anymore, and I'm sure most of you in the comments could agree with that. My name is Ryan Samuels. This is the Ryan Samuels Show. We're going to talk specifically tonight about Joe Biden's claim to job growth. What a load of crap that is. He's come out today and he said that he has produced 5.5 million jobs and Donald Trump has only produced like 1 million, which is, it just doesn't make any sense to me, because when you look at the facts, Donald Trump produced way more jobs than what he's claiming that he did. You know, Joe Biden has done this. He's like the ultimate spin doctor. He, first of all, let's talk about this. He comes into office, right? And he shuts the whole economy down over the C word, which I can't say, or it'll get flagged with a little warning. But he shuts down the whole economy. People lose their jobs. People are forced to work from home. People lose their small businesses. All these jobs go away, right? Which creates job vacancies. Then he turns around and says, look at all these jobs I've created. Well, no, you created job vacancies. There's a fundamental difference between job growth and job vacancies. So I'm going to pull up this thing that he posted. It is quite humorous. As always, guys, leave questions, comments, concerns in the comments, and we will go from there. Robert says it's not job growth when it's people going back to work after being unemployed and living out of mom's basement in fear from the C word. Let's compare the amount of jobs in America under President Trump, re-election before the C word, and we get better than that when it's job growth. Dude, yeah, 100%, man. That's exactly right, and it's a little pathetic. So let's look at this, and let's check this out. What he posted. Look at this. Oh yeah, look at me. I created more jobs. He's claiming to have created 5,873,000 jobs, and he's accusing Donald Trump of only creating 1,700 or 1.7 million jobs. That is completely wrong. That's not even close to accurate. Donald Trump created over 7.5 million jobs, but Joe Biden didn't create any. He just forced a lot of people to lose their jobs, gave them money to stay at home. Then they re-employed themselves after we learned exactly what this pandemic was. And, I said pandemic. Now it's going to get flagged. I messed up. The whole video is ruined. There's going to be a little box under it the whole time. I'm sorry, guys. So Hey, Barry, how are you? I'm doing well, sir. How are you? So this creates a confusing scenario for the American people. Most of the American people don't know this and they don't understand this. And it is extremely sad that people buy into this. And now I do this for a living. So I'm on Facebook every day and I'm dealing with these people every single day. I have a girl right now that is refusing. She wants to talk all this stuff in the comments. And I invited her on the show, to which, guess what? She's refusing. So let's see. Diane, are you watching? If you're watching, come on the show. I told you I'd be here. I send you the link. You're talking all of this stuff. Let's have a conversation on there and see where that goes. So back to the live video. The economy is in shambles. He posted another thing saying that, oh, gas prices are finally down. Yeah, because, dude, you finally raised interest rates because you overflooded the market with money, which created this inflation. That's what happens. Things cost more. And yes, you're going to see record high business profits because the dollar's worth less. So what bought $1 10 years ago now takes $5 to buy the same product. So the businesses get more money because the dollar's worth less. So it shows profits, but it's not, because you have to take into account the value of the dollar. So one of the most gross negligent powers that we give the United States government is we give them power to, right? Listen to this, to control the value of the U.S. dollar. It used to be controlled by the value of gold. But Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971, leaving us down this road that we're in now. And now the Federal Reserve creates the value of the dollar through setting interest rates. So the Federal Reserve has increased interest rates, and here we are. So the Federal Reserve increased interest rates, which forces people to save, which forces people not to take out loans. And when they do take out loans, that excess interest goes back to the Federal Reserve, and they pull the money out of the system. Just wild how horrible this administration is at anything, honestly. So some of you guys may know that I live out in the middle of the woods and my internet's terrible. So I just ordered Starlink from Elon Musk. This isn't a plug. Obviously, I'm not sponsored by Elon Musk. If I was, I'd be doing this from outer space because I would do something cool like that. And it should be here soon. So I'm definitely excited to give you guys a review on that. Joe Biden creating more jobs than any president in U.S. history. Get out of here, dude. Get out of here. And it's like, dude, it's just frustrating. This guy could fuck up a cup of coffee. Excuse my language. I have to mark this one as explicit. So in other news, Joe Biden also today decided to fund health care for illegal immigrants. That actually happened today. That actually happened today. He also came out and did the same-sex marriage bill, which is fine. I don't think anybody has a problem with that. I think the problem that they have with that is now, with all the pork in this bill, if you want to deny somebody a wedding cake because it goes against your religious beliefs in your own private business, you're not allowed to do that with this bill. That's the problem with this bill. Listen, if people want to get married and they're not man and woman, woman and woman, you want to marry 10 people, I think people don't care. I think the only time people really, truly care is when you violate the rights of another, which is what America is all about. So I'm trying to find this article about this giving health care to illegal immigrants in Washington state. Now that, aside from campaigning that, we need to tax billionaires because it's not fair. We need to tax the rich, tax the rich. AOC, we're in a dress that says tax the rich. And then all of that rhetoric, all of that stuff, they get in office, and what do? They tax your Venmo and your Cash App over $600. I'll tell you right now, the rich are not using those apps. You are. And so you're paying more taxes on top of all the taxes you were already paying, and those people's taxes never changed. They pay more taxes than we ever will in a lifetime. So the American people were duped by Joe Biden once again. So now we're going to take, aside from spending $200,000 at minimum to decorate the White House for Christmas, when they say it's not a Christian nation, it's not it's not a religious nation. They go ahead and decorate the White House for Christmas and spend $200,000. Now they do this every year, and Donald Trump did it too. The only problem is Donald Trump and Republicans didn't platform on on increasing the taxes on the rich and decreasing the taxes on the middle class, and then in the end turn around and then tax the middle class more, and then spend what 4 times more than your average middle class person makes in a year on 1 month in Christmas decorations. I just think that's ludicrous. Don't ask me. It blows my mind. Let me get back. So my comment thing is not working on my software, so I'm jumping over to Facebook to see if there's any comments. Let me see. I got a laugh emoji on this right now. Robert Wilson. Let's see. Dale, Joe Biden knows how to lie, and his lies are whoppers. Man, you couldn't be more correct. He's been a politician his entire life, right? He's lied about everything. I mean, this guy is probably the biggest farce in the history of the presidency. He constantly lies. That's all he does, and then he denies it. Just absolutely mind-boggling. Robert Wilson doesn't want to come on. Figured that. See what else is in the news, shall we? A moment of truth is fast approaching for both Trump and the DOJ. They're trying to get Donald Trump on anything they can. And, here's the thing, guys. If they were right, I wouldn't care, but they haven't produced anything that the guy has really done anything super criminal. I mean, the only thing that I saw was the classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. What was that? I mean, what was the classified document? I mean, everything is secret when it comes to the presidency. He could have just grabbed a menu, the White House chef's menu, and brought it home with him. I mean, it's classified. You're not allowed to know what the president eats. So I think there's a tremendous amount of context that is that's missing from that scenario. Samuel Bankman, the Bitcoin guy, the cryptocurrency scandal where he was living in the Bahamas. I'll pull this up. Let me pull this up and put this over here. Yada, yada, yada. Let me go back to this. Let me add this. All right. So this is the FTX, right? This guy was making insane campaign contributions to obviously Democrats, and now he's on investigation for that. So the wall is kind of falling around the Democrats, right? We have the Twitter scandal, which is just complete and sure obstruction of American citizens and their right to liberty, right? Their right to speak freely without fear of repercussion. We saw that happen, and now we're seeing this guy come out. So Bankman-Fried. It's a weird name, Bankman-Fried. Every time I read his name in an article, it feels as if though I'm like, Bankman-Fried tostada and ate it. So when I'm reading it, I start going that way, and then I have to come back. All right. Bankman Fried and unnamed co-conspirators made tens of millions of dollars in illegal campaign contributions to both Democrat and Republican candidates. What they're not telling you here is just how slanted those campaign contributions are. Majority Democrat. And campaign committee, Damian Williams, the U.S. Attorney for Southern New York, said at a news conference unveiling the 8-count criminal indictment, which included a campaign finance violation charge. The donations, Williams said, were disguised to look as though they were coming from wealthy donors, when in fact contributors were funded by Bankman. I'm just going to say Bankman's privately held crypto hedge fund. So this guy was worth billions and billions of dollars, and it all came crumbling down around him, just because he was a kid and he was way in over his head, and we'll never know exactly just how deep the rabbit hole goes with this guy. But the scandal is way deeper than we're seeing right now. They're just diving into it, and it's going to be curious to see how this hey Michelle, how are you? Welcome. It's going to be curious to see just how deep this rabbit hole goes. Just like Twitter, we haven't even scratched the surface with Twitter. We're seeing internal emails. Baker deleted a lot of this stuff. Baker got rid of a lot of this stuff. Jim Baker, the former FBI agent that worked for Twitter that Elon Musk fired after he found out he was withholding information from people. So we don't even know all of the stories. I mean, they knew Musk was taking over. They knew they did some bad things. How much stuff did they get rid of before Musk took over? I mean, that's a valid question. How much stuff on the federal government side of information that they have with their involvement with Twitter that they're not telling you? You know, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but the stuff displayed clearly shows that our federal government interfered with individuals' freedom of speech through Twitter, through a proxy war. Isn't it happening elsewhere? Most likely, but we don't see the evidence of that. And that's what makes it difficult. So let me go back here. All right, guys, we're just going to take a quick 2-minute break. We will be right back. The world we live in is like no other at any other point in history. Current generations are genuinely confused people who believes the government is good. They fail to realize the system in place. A system has provided them with a scripted school of thought that has corrupted their historical view. The public school system, news, and Hollywood have drilled a unified message into society. That message is simple. Be a good citizen, do what you're told, guns are wrong, the government is good, and the only free speech that is allowed is one that doesn't hurt anybody's feelings. We are taught never to question authority and always obey our masters. The United States was founded to protect human beings from living in this society. Oppression was supposed to be a past practice, but now, one man can sign a piece of paper and force you to accept a needle in your arm. But nobody seems to recognize this. Like cows smiling as they are led to the slaughterhouse, they willingly accept this. And if the government can do this, what else can they do? We have all been fed lies, and it is time to set the record straight. We need a revolution of knowledge. The knowledge that has vanished, suppressed deep under years of disinformation. My mission is to spread this knowledge. The truth that we do not hear these days. The truth that is suppressed by the corporate media, government, and social media. We can change the status quo. With biased so-called fact checkers, and corporate search engines banning unfavorable opinions. It is going to take private funding to overcome this. Subscribing to this channel costs 99 cents a month. And for that $1, you can contribute to spread the knowledge and free exchange of ideas. Get exclusive content that gives you the ammunition you need to change minds. Exclusive content that gives you the accurate history that will show you and others the society we live in is oppressive. All right, Patriots, we are back. Thank you for tuning in. Very important. If you're on Facebook, make sure you like this post and you share it. We want this information spread, right? Also, if you want to be notified about my live videos, click the bell up top and select all live notifications. This way, anytime I go live, you'll be notified immediately and you can come on. And then when I'm done, you'll get a notification saying that I just finished a live video, and it'll give you a link to where you can go back and like it. Also, on Facebook, if you're in the comments section, swipe your phone to the right, and it will bring up the subscriber hub. Subscribing to this channel on Facebook, it's 99 cents a month. It's not even $1. It's one Arizona iced tea. And that helps me make these videos and contribute to getting this information out there, right? So I appreciate you all for tuning in. So Biden is making all of these ridiculous and insane claims of growth in our economy, but it's not there. He's had an absolutely tumultuous presidency. We started off with the questionable election, right? Where we had 50 million ballots and all these mail-in ballots that weren't verified, right? I'm not saying that it was fraud. What I do recognize is that there was definitely opportunity for fraud, right? Opportunity for fraud and fraud are two different things. We need to connect that dot between actual fraud and opportunity. And right now, unfortunately, that dot is just not there. So we have to accept it and we have to move on from it. The more that Republican politicians, particularly Donald Trump, push this agenda and push that it was a fake election, the less conservatives are going to go out and vote, because in their minds, it's just not going to matter. It's something that we need to move on to and focus on the future and work on adjusting those campaign law, those voting laws that they put in place specifically for the 2020 election. That's what we need to change, and that's what we need to work on. So Biden had Afghanistan, where he just completely pulled everybody out, left a bunch of Marines behind, and they all got killed. He left behind a bunch of very important people to the United States, Afghanis that helped the United States tremendously over the course of that over a decade war. Just left them behind. We saw this with Afghan citizens clinging to the sides of these planes and falling off of them, desperately trying not to be left to be predators to the predators of the Taliban. After that, we saw the mandate, right, for the pokey poke. We saw the mandate where he signed an executive order to force every citizen to get the poke, right? Now, if you try to have this discussion with anybody, and it's so horrible in our society, because if you try to have a discussion with anybody who supports the other side, they just shut down. They don't want to hear it. I'm constantly told every single day that he didn't mandate anybody. He wasn't a mandate. You had a choice. Well, you didn't have a choice. It was either you got it or you lost your job. That's coercion. That's force. That's a violation of American principles, which is why the Supreme Court ruled that it was unconstitutional, which we all knew was coming. But in the interim, people were forced to do it. So that absolutely was a mandate. There was absolutely a totalitarian decision, and people on the left will always bring up, well, George Washington did it at Valley Forge. Yeah, he did 100%. But as a military general, is a major difference when you sign over willingly um, to the military. You sign over that you will be subject to whatever. It doesn't matter. You agree to that, right? So a military commander and a ruler of a free people, right? Think about that for a second. What a contradiction that is. A ruler of a free people. No, free people don't have rulers. That's number one. So we saw that. We saw the worst inflation in 40 years. Um, we we saw gas prices sky high through the roof. We saw grocery prices sky high through the roof. Jobs down, income down. People are still having a hard job making ends meet, and Joe Biden is standing on top of pillar, stating to the world that he has fixed everything and everything's great. So his big graph that came out today was gas prices are now down where they were supposed to be to where they were last January. Like, oh yeah, but last January they were still high, Joe. They were still high last January. Then they peaked. Now they're back to high. You didn't bring gas prices down the same as you did not produce jobs. You can't force a bunch of people out of the workforce and then say, look at all these vacancies I have. I've created 5 million jobs. Well, 5 million people lost their jobs because of your policies. That's the reality of it. That's the truth. But he's a career politician and he knows how to spin things. So we saw Afghanistan. We saw the mandate, which was not popular with anybody, unless you're a lunatic to be for that. We saw his constant gaffes, him demonstrating that he's incompetent, that he has no ability to negotiate, and he has no leverage with Russia as far as Brittany Griner is concerned. Glad she's home. Did a whole video on it. However, he demonstrated that he doesn't have the ability to negotiate a proper deal. We gave up an arms dealer for a basketball player, and it's hard to weigh human life, right? It's really hard to weigh human life and put value on human life. I'm glad she's home. The arms dealer was going to be out in 6 years anyway, something like that. And but we left a Marine behind, and we don't know what happened with that. We have no idea what happened with the negotiating the deal. If Russia even put it on the table, because they're saying that he's a spy, that they caught him putting he got caught accepting a flash drive of government secrets, which is how he got arrested. Is he a spy? I have no idea. The United States says he's not. If he was, they would say he's not. They would deny it to the very end. As a matter of fact, when you join the CIA, you're made very well aware of that. So he has had a calamitous presidency. It's been horrible. And it's interesting to see the amount of people that support him. Unless you go to his Facebook page and you look at his comments and nobody supports him. There's a couple of people, but when you open up those people's pages, they're people that live in Africa, like in the middle of Africa, saying, you're the greatest president in the world, and they're liking it and sharing it. They're bots. They're not real. So it's interesting to look at the outlook and the dynamic, but Joe Biden has not produced any jobs, period. He hasn't produced any. He's cost Americans their livelihoods. There are business owners who never recovered from his policies. There are military members that lost their jobs and their careers because of his mandate. There's everyday citizens who lost their job and their careers because of his mandate. He has brought this country down to its knees, and then when it starts to lose balance, he gets on the microphone and says, look, they're standing up. Crazy. Absolutely bizarre. Let me see. I'm going to check the comments one more time. Dave, I'm not scared. All right. Dave says, why are you scared to calling it what it was? It was fraud, plain and simple. Listen, Dave, if you'd like to click the link and come on the show, we can have a conversation. I would love for you to do that. But I'm not afraid to call it a fraud. What I'm telling you, and this is the reality, when you remove your emotion from the 2020 election, when you remove your emotion and you research it, I did a video called The Red Wave where I break this down, what exactly they did and who did it. These people legally changed election laws to fit the pandemic. The part of that that's a problem is that they mailed ballots to unregistered voters. However, the Conservative Party is not jumping on this. They're not fighting this. They're not grabbing it by its roots and taking it to court and fighting and battling it out because they're not registered voters, yet they sent out all of these ballots. What I'm telling you is that there was opportunity for it, but there is no direct evidence that it occurred. That is the reality, Dave. Could it have occurred? 100%. The opportunity was there. I'm not saying it didn't. I'm just saying there's nothing showing that it did. And this is the same thing with Twitter and with Facebook and with YouTube and with Google. With Twitter, we know for a fact the federal government has interfered with free speech at the direction of the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security and the Democratic National Committee. We know that for a fact. We saw the emails. Now, I see the same patterns with YouTube. So it's highly likely that that's happening there too, but there's no direct evidence. I can't speak on something unless I have the direct evidence. I don't do straw man theories. And I'm not calling you out and I'm not picking on you, Dave. I'm just saying we have to look at the whole thing. And if we're going to fight for it, if we're going to push to make it right, we have to have all the information that we need. All right. Again, guys, question, comments, put them down below. Click the link to come on the show. So Biden says his economic plan is working, adding prices remain too high. So he's coming out and saying we're making headway, but we're absolutely, we're not. It appears that we are because people are going back to work and they are going back to the jobs that they lost. We do see a problem in the restaurant industry where they can't find people to work because people are still collecting checks. And that was one of the major issues with the policies that came down from the mandate. What a disgrace. It's a shame. It's a shame. So, all right, guys, I'm going to take off for the evening. I appreciate all of you. Do not forget to share this video, to like this video, follow my page. I am good at stealing memes from other places and posting them on my page. The memes are for the people. The memes cannot be owned by anybody. Facebook at The Ryan Samuel Show, Rumble at The Ryan Samuel Show, Twitter at Ryan F. Samuels, and YouTube at The Ryan Samuel Show. Don't forget to visit my website at ryanfsamuels.com. I'm on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Audible, everywhere. You will find this podcast and you will find this show. And if all else fails, just Google it. It'll pop up first page every time. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Ryan Samuels. Have a good night.